that was an absolute nightmare. None of those panels wanted to stay together. So what I ended up doing is I ended up putting up like screw F-clamps in the corners. And that really seemed to help stabilize everything, which is good. Then I have, obviously I have my bar clamps, and then some more bar clamps right here. So I have pressure. Both sides, all the corners are held. The middles are held, I don't know, flush with each other, that's the word, by those quick clamps. They don't really have a lot of pressure, but they're perfect for that. Yeah, it was not very fun, but I got it done. Anyways, so I'm trying to make two end tables. But I'm trying to match old, how do I say it? Trying to match like old antique look. Almost like that over there. So I need like a very amberish color. Honestly, it looks like aged sherry or some light mahogany. This isn't my first pick for stain. There was a gel stain that would have been perfect, but they didn't have it, of course, and I only have a month till Christmas, so this it is. This is what it looks like on the ply. It should probably be pretty good. So that's what it looks like on the ply, obviously, without the chip out, but so I think once I put a type of gloss or polyurethane over it, it'll be pretty good. It's a little light, so I might have to put something else on it, but yeah, it should match this color pretty closely. Anyways, I'll come back to you. I still got to do another one of these panels, but after I'm done, I'll get back to you. Alright, that was glue up number 2. That was a lot easier, just because I had an idea of what I was doing. So what I started with was I glued up all the edges, and I just immediately put these on the corners. That'll keep everything flush with each other, and the plywood. And then after that, I put the band clamp on, bring everything in. Then after the band clamp, I started putting on the edge clamps, just to keep the trim centered. Honestly, I never really understood the point of bandy clamps, like edge clamps, edge banding clamps. But for something like this, yeah, they'd be worth their weight in gold. That's okay though. And then after I did my edge alignment clamps, then I actually put like my big compression bar clamps and parallels on. Really get some good squeeze out, and yeah, that one went a lot smoother than the last one. Okay, so I got these out of the clamps, sanded them all up. There was a lot of glue. I'll advise you, if you do this, make sure you plane your edging to exactly the right thickness, because I did not. And it takes a long time to thin out boards with sander. And then all I did is, after I sanded them, I added I believe that's an 1/8 inch cove and groove, or cove and round, sorry. Shrouded on the side. Kind of new to routing still, but I think it's perfect. It gives it kind of that traditional look, which is what I'm going for. Trying to blend in with some older hutches. And then now all I'm doing is I'm going to do the same thing to the legs. I'm just going to route one edge, come back on the other edge, route the next board's edge, come back on the other edge. I'm just doing the sides. These still have to be cut, but I want sharp routing transitions. I don't want like a rounded edge where it runs. So this is perfect. I'll just route the whole edge and then cut it as I go, and I'll have a crisp, clean 90 wherever I'm done. So for routing, like I said, still pretty new to it. But all I did is I just took a piece of scrap and I just tested it. I just set the depths I like. Soft, I thought I'd like doing it on both sides. I don't really like that. I kind of like this just a little bit. Like, I still want like a fairly modern-esque table. I just want I want it to match what it's going in with. So like I said, I'm just gonna route these, and then I'm gonna put some edge banding on the other boards. And then once that's done, give everything a quick sand, and then I'll give it a quick stain. All right, so we're gonna put some edge banding on these. Got the iron heating up. All I did is I cut 8 overlength pieces. I'm gonna do 4 on this side, flip them, do the other 4 sides, and then while they cool, I'll cut the lengths for the edges and trim them, and then I'll do the other 4 sides. It's pretty simple stuff, but this will be my first time doing it, so we'll hope for the best. Hopefully it works. Wish me luck. Okay, that was my first time working with gel stain, and I don't think I like it. It tacks up really quick. I mean, the color is super even. Like, all the pieces look identical. They look just like old maple. It's great. This is exactly what it says, but it tacks up really quick. And you can even see, like, right here, that's where some of it set up before I could get to it. So I'll sand that off, and the next coat I won't do everything at once. I'll just do one side at once, so I don't have to worry about it gumming up. But yeah, it tacks up really quick, but it does have a very even, very good color. That's first coat done. Okay, so all I've done is add a couple more coats of poly. Now I'm gonna do a final coat. So this will probably be probably pretty thin. So I just used a 320 sandpaper again. Just got all the nibs off, and I'm just gonna do a light coat, just to fill in everything and get a nice and smooth top surface. The only tip I have is if you ever want, so like some people like to feel the wood grain, which I agree with, but on something like this, where you're going from a vintage varnished feel, if you sand with something that doesn't have great dust extraction, like this has none, and leave the dust, and use the poly to dissolve like the old poly, it'll fill in and make a very smooth surface. I know it's not what most people say, and that's fine. But it'll make it'll be like glass. That's how you get a super smooth surface, is that final coat. You don't use any dust extraction. You just get down the nibs, make it smooth, make sure it's a good enough grit for it the poly to bind to, and they're just gonna do a final coat, and it's gonna be glass smooth. I'll admit one thing. This doing these projects makes you understand cabinetry a little better. I always used to think people were lazy, but I understand why people use plywood, because it's cheap and stable, and I understand the finishing now. I understand why they usually don't do multiple finishes on the bottom, because once it's sealed, it's fine. Everything after that is just extra protection or looks. So like the bottom of these are only sealed, well, they're stained, polyed, and then polyed again. But then the tops are, I think this is the third coat. This was dripped, so that's the fourth coat. And both of the main doors, or the tabletops and the legs, this will be their fourth coat of poly. So they should be, like I said, like glass smooth at this point. All the pores should be filled in with that extra poly dust, and then everything will be nice and smooth. And yeah, the next step after these dry will just be cutting these up, and then starting to drill holes so I can put things together. That's a spooky step. So all I've done here is I've measured out my boards. Don't mind that, I made a mistake. So I measured out my boards at 23 inches, taped them. It'll stop splintering, it'll keep them together, make sure everything's all very nice and specific. I've set up a stop at 23 inches, so that every cut will be exactly the same. And then I'll just go through, make my cuts, and I'll have my legs. So what I've done here is I marked the tops of my boards. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that. And then I marked the bottom of where each shelf is going to go across all four. So it doesn't really matter relative to each other. I made the measurements the same, but the only reason I lined up these four specifically is because these are going to be the same legs on the same table. So these have to be perfect. Otherwise, it'll wobble and it won't be straight. Same as this, these have to be perfect. But between them, if there's an 1/8 inch difference, it doesn't much matter. So now I'm going to drill the pocket holes on the tops, and then I'll figure out how to pre-drill the pocket holes for the shelves, because this is maple, and I'm sure if I just pocket holed into it, it would split. But we'll figure something out. All right, there it is. All finished up. This is only one. I haven't done the other one, but it'd be the exact same. So all I did is I used just pocket holes. The only trouble I had is I didn't have hardwood pocket hole screws, so I had to measure out where the holes were and mark pre-drill, which was kind of annoying, but it wasn't a big deal. Other than that, it's pretty simple. It's just pocket hole to the top, and then each shelf is pocket hole to the uprights, to the legs. So you got that nice, what is that, round and groove? on the top and the legs, and then underneath just has a 1/4 inch round. And that just, I don't know, it makes it look fancy. It matches the antique cabinetry I'm trying to go for. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. A little bit modern, a little bit antique.